All right.
Take 4.
Views from the window. I think take 4 or 5. I'm David Howell, and I've got Dr. Aaron Bratton with us again. And guess what we're talking about today?
More fluoride.
More fluoride.
More fluoride.
I've seen fluoride in the news recently.
RFK Jr. made his announcement, and that's actually what brought me to your attention, as we've said in the past. But since that happened, and I just got disconnected from the internet. In my observations of the world of the internet and the algorithms and the new version of Operation Mockingbird, there is now just this whole new slew of information once again coming out to say, no, just trust the science and trust what you've been conditioned to take on, and just don't pay any attention.
Yeah, what was that study even? It was about IQ, wasn't it?
Yeah, the IQ was just part of it. It was a case in California that put forward a study, and these counties sued the state to say you can't force us to do this, and then it got to the federal level with the NIH being involved, and it was ordered to say, okay, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. National Toxicology Program, a government organization, was put in charge of reviewing everything.
Yeah.
And a 1,500-page document, and then was told, you're not going to ever release this until RFK, a judge ordered, you can't suspend this any longer. The people who were in charge of it said it's done, so it's done, and release it. And it came out and pretty much showed what a lot of people have been saying for a long time. And but because of that, and the fact that there's a lot of moneyed interests involved in the news and health and your medical and pediatric and dental associations, none of that's ever made it to mainstream.
But then the one that I saw, and it may have been my algorithm, because I've been sharing some of these videos.
You're saying the latest.
Yeah, the latest one I saw was this past week.
Yeah, so that was a non-study. That was a meta-analysis of other studies come together through a cohort of colleges that more or less looked at the studies that they and their colleagues had done over the past that conveniently looked over the aspects that were looked at in the study RFK and others have looked at, that showed, doesn't happen.
Not true.
Yeah, not true. We've looked at our own data that we've already told you and said, oh, look, our data says it doesn't, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's that study.
Okay. And speaking of studies, I think we did a study on our new tables up here.
I don't like them. I also don't like this angle of, welcome to our newscast station.
How you doing there?
How's the weather?
But I do enjoy these conversations.
Yes.
And I've enjoyed the conversations that we've been having. We launched the first 3 of this, and then we had a break there in the middle as we were traveling the world and everything else. And with some of the conversation around the fiscal session in Little Rock, I did go ahead and drop 2 of the Learns Act podcast with Laurie Lee. And so that was great. If you aren't familiar with the Learns Act, and by aren't familiar, I mean if you have an opinion on it but you really haven't studied it, I would recommend diving in and you make the decision, because a couple of the things we can't deny when it comes to that is Arkansas historically has been at the bottom when it comes to education here in the state. This is probably...
The saying has been, thank goodness for Louisiana, we get to stay above somebody else in something or everything.
Yeah, exactly, except for football. But, yeah, so I'd encourage you to go back and listen to those too. But today we are going to continue our conversation about fluoride. Dr. Bratton, do you want to bring us... I know you don't really want to recap the last three weeks because it was so much in there. But in a Cliff Notes, where are we heading to now?
If I remember correctly, we went over skeleton really thoroughly. We went over the foundation of why fluoride has such a all-encompassing effect upon the body, because at the entry level for the stuff that we need, it competes with, the elements you hear about, calcium, magnesium. You don't really hear about phosphorus, but that one's going to stick in my mind because it's the one that stands out. Stops you from being able to absorb vitamin D and in differing concentrations. The things you need make you absorb more fluoride because it becomes the only thing available, and your body is designed to absorb things that are similar to that elemental state. So I know we did skeleton. We've talked about the history of things, how long this information has been known, why that information has influenced all of our peer countries in Europe and in the developed ones in Asia, to where they've gone, we're not putting it in the water. Why Nobel laureates of biochemistry and physiology go, I'm going to censor myself, why it's borderline stupid to put it in the water, and it should be a shameful thing to support it.
And that video was how long ago?
I think it was 2002, 2007, something like it. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
You talked about the pineal gland.
Yeah, pineal gland. So that, and why do we have dementia just all over the place now, which, it's always existed. We've always said, grandma's not quite here anymore, but it's getting younger.
Yep.
And it's becoming way more prevalent. And they've linked that to, naturally, we've seen that people that work the night shift are having a higher propensity of this. Well, now we're showing that the pineal gland controls your circadian rhythm, which controls your cleanup inside the brain during sleep, and the pineal gland is the only place in terms of the body and soft tissue that uptakes fluoride, and it uptakes it at a level 700% higher than your skeleton. So we're not a great thing. And I was reviewing, and I can't quite remember if we talked about this part in terms of the neuronal impacts. Because now I'm starting to come back to what we did. There was a mouse study that was done that showed a direct, not a correlation, a direct contribution and causal origin of mouse behavioral presentations of anxiety and depression at the genetic level, meaning in the genes of these mice, they were affected by the presence of fluoride, that the own bodily underpinnings of your conscious emotions were affected to go towards, I'm depressed, I'm anxious.
And weren't they passed down? Weren't they?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, when your genes are your genes, and they get put in the chromosomes and go forward. So we call that an epigenetic factor of influence. And we're getting the weeds on that, but I'm going to be good. Good today. I'm not going to do that. But this was these were adult mice.
Yeah.
And so it's an active process. It's an actively acquired detriment to your physical and mental state.
Gotcha. And so now, today, I think where we're starting at, I'm not sure where we're going to end up, but we're starting with reproductive.
Yes.
And
birds and the bees.
Birds and the bees. And
sort of.
Something I've noticed, maybe it's my age and algorithm, but there's a whole lot more ads for male testosterone levels and everything else that I'm hearing today. Once again, though, we're one of two nations in the whole world that do allow advertising for pharmaceutical, which is completely messed up.
Yep.
But tell me, how is this low T testosterone? How is that linked to fluoride?
Well, as we're going to preface and steel man and do all the other things we do to show that we are approaching this in good faith and not from the normal frame that conversations like this are always put into in order to create an avenue of easy dismissal. All of these things we are speaking towards are multifactorial. It is a compounding contributory effect of all of these different environmental industrialized things that our bodies were not designed to deal with.
Yeah.
So microplastics has been shown to contribute to this. Our lack of sun exposure, our lack of activity, diet, so on and so forth. So the lowering of testosterone in the male demographic of America and in the developed West in general, a lot of things contribute to it. However, to answer your question directly, yeah, fluoride, because we've already established, is a hormonal disruptor due to its, it inhibits the things that hormones need to be made and function, and then also goes into the actual glands that these hormones are produced in and downregulates their activation and just turns them off, keeps them from turning on. Down the line, we stop having the hormone testosterone be produced.
Yeah.
So we're this Science Direct actual study. It is, if my internet will. I want to pull it up just so I can tell people the time frames of when these studies were performed. So this is the journal Chemosphere, December 2018. What country? This was in the Middle East. I believe it's Saudi Arabia. They used sodium fluoride, which is the most commonly interacted with form of fluoride in terms of the dental sphere, and I forget what ratio it is for what's put in the water. There's a lot of different things that get put in the water depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
But they showed that the presence of sodium fluoride reduced the cell viability and proliferation of your Leydig cells, which Leydig cells are the actual factory within the glands that make testosterone. So it's you've got a region, for analogy, it's like, all right, that's our region that produces steel. It's your rust belt, but this is your testosterone belt. Well, the actual factories in Detroit are being shut down. That makes your steel. Your Leydig cells are your factories in Detroit in your region of testosterone. It decreased the free testosterone and other levels inside the Leydig cells. So not only is it shutting the factory down, it's stepping in and taking what's available within the factory that is supposed to be exported out and say, nope, no longer be used. Because in terms of testosterone, you have free and unfree testosterone. The free testosterone can actually be sent out to your musculature, your brain, and then not just be present for the very base level functions. It's what can say, all right, hey, bulk up, feel better, be confident. So it's sapping all that up. It then inhibited the expression levels of the steroidic genes, meaning the genes within these cells programmed to tell you, make the steroid hormone testosterone. It says, turn it down. And then it repressed the levels of more transcription factors in the cells, which were the factors that tell your gene expression, hey, here's your message, do this. So it starts at the top of where it is actually affecting your testosterone production, all the way down to the messages being sent, hey, we need more testosterone. It goes, nope, take that away, throw it in the trash. And they did this, let me get all the way down to so these were done on mouse cells. Now people go, well, it's a mouse. We've already established mice are considered within the laboratory setting to be the closest human analog for comparative anatomy and study. So whenever we show a mouse study, it's not really something that we should at all poo-poo or walk away from, because the majority of our medicines that are tested for human consumption start at mice and then move our way. The majority of the toxins, and when we test, hey, how deadly is this? We don't give it to people. Maybe we should give it to pedophilic prisoners, but different story.
Have you seen the amount Polk County jailbirds, the amount of people arrested in the last week?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but, the Epstein files, that's a hoax. There's not There's not an epidemic of pedophiles and
No, but
child abuse in America.
Why did this?
No way.
Yeah, why did this all of a sudden last? Yeah. Anyways, that's a rabbit trail. But you said
we're going to be good. We're going to be good.
Golly.
But
Epstein files. We haven't talked about that since we started bombing other countries.
Weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Weird.
Midterm elections.
It's a hoax, man. Democrat hoax. And for the record, I am not a Democrat, but nor am I a Republican. But when we prove how poisonous a medicine is, we test it on mice first. So
I feel bad now because I've always said, people are like, don't use sweet and low because that causes cancer in mice. I'm like, it's a mouse, And so,
well, they weaponize common sense against us by keeping us ignorant upon key factors of stuff.
I've always thrown that out, so I feel bad now. No more sweet and low.
No, just no fake stuff in general. Just no fake stuff in general. But so this study, 2018, this is new science, not old science. It's not American science, but it showed, yes, direct toxicity of fluoride upon the production of testosterone through a multi-tiered vectors of attack. Now, that's just testosterone. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not a big deal. So we supplement with testosterone. Yeah. Great, fine and dandy. We're fixing that problem. Well, does it have any further effects? Actually, it does. Another study, let me pull it up. I like the dates. I want to point towards these dates. This is August 2002. So this is kind of like before we've started noticing testosterone problems in the U.S. and the Western nations. But we had, hey, here's a warning signal. Here's a red flag. Let's watch for it.
Yeah.
But morphological, meaning the shape, the presentation, the actual physical characteristics, effects upon the testes, sperm production, sperm vitality, and testosterone production. So we're not just talking about the testosterone hormone. We're talking about fertility.
Yeah.
And what problem are we having in the Western America especially? Mm-hmm. So we look at Europe and say, they're having a fertility crisis too. So this is where the multifactorial process comes in. Mm-hmm. They've got just as many microplastics. They have just as many other sociological and cultural influences affecting fertility. Everybody's in debt. We have a lot of depression, so on and so forth. So they're not having a lot of kids either. Mm-hmm. But whereas they're not having a lot of kids, they're also not having an IVF fertility injunction to correct it, whereas our side of the pond is requiring an intervention modality because the physiological aspects of our fertility is affected. So they showed, I want to remind myself whether or not this was people that they looked at or if this was another mouse study.
12 adult male albino rats.
Okay, so still rats, mice, whole shebang. This was, but it not only affected the hormone because of the effects it had upon the Leydig cells, which Leydig cells make testosterone, but they're also part of that cascade that leads down to creating swimmers.
Yeah.
Good swimmers, we don't have contact with the egg. Without contact with the egg, we don't have an embryo, and then we don't have a baby. Mm-hmm. As someone who's gone through the IVF process, you have a sperm analysis. They look at, hey, are you the problem as a man? If you're shooting blanks, big problem. Mm-hmm. But that a lot of times can be fixed with a few, let's see what you did. I was on injectable testosterone at the time. And they go, oh, did anyone tell you that tells your body to stop making the hormone that tells you to make sperm? I'm like, no. Well, let's get off that.
Yeah.
And we got off that, and then my aspect was fine. So that's a smaller problem. But if they then look at your scope and say, man, your guys are kind of screwed up, that's a much bigger problem. Mm-hmm. Because then that has what's the genetic packaging of your sperm?
Yeah.
Is what your body making to then pass on your genes actually, is it just the vehicle that's messed up? Or is the whole package messed up? So, and that's not something that's been established yet. But where we're at in this style of research, or this vein of research, is we are establishing that part of the parcel that is fertility crisis in America is our chronic exposure from inside the womb to the time it's time to make more kids, is we are taking in a toxin that the body accumulates and has direct effect upon our systems.
Wow.
So at the end of last podcast, you said, I'm excited for this part of the next. No, you're not. No, you're not. But so let's look at this study in a little bit in detail. So like I said, 12 male rats. They weighed them, looked at all their stuff. Free access for food formulated by the laboratory, so they controlled for content of their inputs. And they, daily, they put everything through the same rigmarole, minus their levels of fluoride exposure. The growth of the actual body, they showed no alterations. The relative testicular weight was increased, and so there was some swelling type stuff, but the parts of the testes that created and helped facilitate sperm had a decrease. Now the activities of testicular delta 5, 3 beta HSD, and 17 beta HSD, I'm not exactly positive what that is since I didn't review right before we came in here. But the activities that are supposed to be normatively there were drastically decreased within the rats compared to the control, non-fluoridated. And the plasma testosterone level was significantly decreased within the exposure of fluoride. When you have inhibition, other enzymes, these are enzymes that help facilitate the production of sperm, how to make the sperm, when to make the sperm, and then the side product of testosterone. And so that goes back to, we're showing fluoride goes into the literal factories, the mechanisms, and in this case, part of the gear work of said mechanisms, and goes, I'll take that. 2002, big old red flag raised. But science that is applicable to America only occurs in America.
Yeah.
That's something we learned during COVID. That's something I learned during COVID when I was looking at other nations and countries and going, hey, their science is saying this. People said, that's stupid. That's French science. Don't pay attention to that. I said, oh, silly me.
Yeah.
We're not. So, okay, learn the lesson. And let's just keep hammering. I've got one more study directly towards men. Did you know we're men? And this isn't the only three. These are just the three that were specifically attributable to some of the things we need to be talking about, because they're at the front and center of the problems that a lot of people are facing, especially my age. I mean, IVF, we're to the point where President Trump ran onto the part of his platform was, I'm going to make insurance pay for IVF.
Yeah.
Because it's that big of a problem.
Yeah.
So,
and it wasn't 20 years ago.
No, 20 years ago, you were still taught, man, abstinence and everything else is really necessary, because otherwise you're going to have a kid. And now it's like, man, you're going to have to drop like $60,000 to have a kid.
Yeah.
And that's not a joke. So this whole portion, and the next portion especially, is very close to home in my lived experience, and looking around and seeing people my age going through the same heartache.
Yeah.
You have, and like I said, my end of the bargain was okay, but being a husband and seeing the damage it put upon my wife, it's a different ballgame. When you see your wife blaming her body for her inability to fulfill what she feels is part of her purpose to exist.
Yep.
So this whole section, this is a heavy section.
Now, all right, before we go into it, because I want to know your thoughts on this, have you ever seen the study? It was actually a lawsuit, because I went and looked it up during COVID. But it was vaccinations that the U.S. was supplying to it was another nation. Hold on, out in the Pacific. I have to look it up, but they tested, and it had something in it that caused sterilization. It has sterilization drug in these vaccines that were being provided to them as foreign aid.
So that's...
Do you know what I'm talking about?
That sounds familiar, but that's actually a really common practice. Greenland, the whole, we're going to help Greenland out.
Yeah.
But they're part of, under Denmark's rule. When these nations take over, or any nation vassalizes an indigenous island, whatever, and then doesn't really do a whole lot of investment to bring people up to the level of the Western society, and they basically create a pseudo welfare state, and they're providing health care and all this other stuff. Native Greenlanders were unbeknownst to them forcibly sterilized at the female level through chemical means, literal means, and that sounds familiar. I can't say I remember it completely, but at this point in the stuff that I've paid attention, I'm not surprised.
But the U.S. lost the case.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
It was over I just searched it now. Don't believe everything on the internet, but it was a program that forcibly sterilized more than 200,000 women. So they're getting these shots, and it was like they're having to come in and get these shots every 30 days. And they're like, they're like, well, what is this? And it was a tetanus shot. And they're like, why are you getting a tetanus shot every 30 days? And so this doctor or whatever went and got them and started researching it, and it had the sterilization deal. So anyways, I just went.
Now you've got me curious.
I feel like that has to be tied in some way. Could that be tied in some way to what we're seeing in the U.S. today when it comes to sterilization of?
That's a really rough rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
But you can, we've got, what was the name of the Population Bomb. It was a book that was released, I think, like in the 80s, 90s, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was picked up by everybody from Bill Gates to the World Health Organization, not World Health, well, yeah, probably. No, the World Economic Forum. Basically, all the elites that we're told repeatedly don't exist and don't talk to each other and don't meet up every year to see how we can and can't do things. Don't somehow magically nail it that, in a couple of years, there's going to be a global pandemic under Trump, but we're going to train for how we're going to respond to that right now, like a year and a half before, and set up, blah, blah, blah. Those people don't exist. But they talk about these kind of things, like there's too many people, and how can we keep too many people from existing? And, well, we control production, and we control the journals that publish scientific literature. Oh, and we have buddies that also make money with us that we talk to that control media. And Epstein's dad controls the publishing companies that makes all the school books for our national public schools, McGraw-Hill Publishing. Oh, there we go. Come on back over here, camera.
Oh, no.
I leaned over too far. It was just me. I can't sit still, man. But, that's a long story short. Yeah, there's.
This was USAID, United Nations Population Fund, and then a Japanese non-profit donated, and it was a forced sterilization campaign. And this isn't even the one that I was thinking of. This is just the one that came up whenever I was searching. But
this Keegan experiment.
Yeah,
our betters have no qualms treating people like cattle.
Yeah.
We've.
So is that tied? Do you think?
Oh, 100%. Now, we have to divide because of the structural systems that an industrial or just America runs on.
Yeah.
there is a knowledge base delineation between the purposes and intent of a flow of a system between who's at the top versus who's at the bottom. You think about it like a car. The engine that's pumping gas and the injectors and the fuel and the pistons that run and then spin the wheels, they are doing their part to make everything work to move forward.
Yeah.
Not a single bit of that vehicle, motor, train, whatever, has any clue where it's going. Not even the steering wheel knows where it's going.
Yeah.
But the person that directs the steering wheel knows where the entire mechanism is going. All it knows, like, we turn on, we hit, we start functioning within our function. From the top down, and during COVID, I had to come to terms with this, especially with my wife being a medical doctor, and saying, the boots on the ground during all of this are operating within their set of knowledge and their trust in the person above them.
Yeah.
And the trust in the person above them, and the trust in the person above them, and the trust in the person above them, all the way up to the level of Fauci, who knew exactly what he was doing, and the people around him knew what was going on, which we now know through FOIA and release of emails. But when you have an inner circle conspiracy, and the thing about the military, the general knows where things are going. The colonels might know, but when you start getting down to the level of like captains and lieutenants, those people are in place to just make sure that the orders happen.
Yeah.
They don't know where the orders are going. They make sure the orders happen. That's how our system works.
Yeah.
So to say, short answer is yes. I personally believe that since this science is known and has been known, but we continue to operate within this modality, there is an essence or a intent at a higher level to say, throw wrenches in. But as we go down that line of functional authority, there's zero intent for that. You didn't have doctors saying, "Oh well, hey, we have found where your infertility is coming from, but thank goodness Big Pharma has invented this way to help you with that." So it's one of the it is one of the most malicious and principally evil things, in my opinion, because you are taking the good nature of human beings who see the hurt, they feel the hurt, and they're like, I'm going to help alleviate that hurt, and they are.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have to if there wasn't something way up here going, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
That's where I'm at.
I call that concept empathy hijack, where you have good people, and it's for COVID. You're going to kill grandma, so you step up and be a guinea pig, and then so you're this narrative is hijacking the empathy of a good person, but then radicalizes them against the people that are standing up against this narrative that has touched into their I'm a good person, I want to protect people. You aren't good because
you're the problem.
You won't protect people, and I.
Yeah. You're pointing at me. I feel targeted because
you're fine.
I didn't get it.
You're fine.
I didn't get it. No, but I mean, I still remember though, because I've had to have these conversations with our kids as they got older, because they're hearing one thing in school, and it really was revealed to us the indoctrination.
Well, I mean, and that's just this is just fluoride.
Yeah.
The dentists. We're getting to a point that I've done this long enough, and the dentists in my circle that know me have gone, you don't shoot anything from the hip. Yeah. Fluoride is okay. It's like, okay, well, just, you do you. I'm not going to talk to you about it because I'm not ready for that conversation. Yeah. I'm not ready for that conversation. Yeah. But folks who don't know me, man, I am the dumbest dentist, doctor, tinfoil. First off, I'm not a dentist. I'm lying about that. Yeah. At this point.
Now, all right, so something else real quick, because you've got a child. Yep. And big old boy. In about 10 years, you're going to go to the doctor, and they're going to say, hey, he needs to get an HPV vaccine. And then they'll shame you. You do get shamed, and you have to watch videos on why you didn't get it. And I remember the first time we got approached about that with our oldest, and my wife was like, "HPV, that's a STD. That's a sexually. Why would my 11-year-old daughter?"
Warts.
Yeah,
Regular warts.
yeah.
Just HPV.
My daughter's like, my wife was like, "Why would our 11-year-old daughter need a STD vaccine?" And but then we literally went through that process, and we have to watch videos, and we have to, even though they're not sexually active, let's get them protected against being sexually active at 11 years old.
Which HPV vaccine doesn't even work. Doesn't even work.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's just that.
You know, the
Sorry
social,
for taking you down that road.
The social shame modality of all of this has been developed over time, and it's a cousin to it's marketing.
Yeah,
it's a form of marketing.
Yeah.
So it's basically when we have to have that conversation, if we ever have to, because people are waking up. I'll be more or less, they will be told a version of what I told the College of Dentistry in Oklahoma when they said, "Hey, you have to get the flu vaccine this 4th year." After never having it my entire life, first time having it in dental school, had it 3 times, and 3 times I had what they told me was a flu-like reaction.
Flu-like reaction.
For 6 days.
Yeah.
I had a flu-like reaction. And I'm going, okay, sounds like I'm getting the flu.
Yep.
But the 4th year, I'm in clinicals. I have to get requirements. I have deadlines. And I go, I'm not taking it. I'm not going to have my flu-like reaction again and miss this time that I need to get my stuff done. And they go, you have to have it. I said, who and what army is going to put it in my arm?
Yeah.
And they looked at me slightly. Eyebrows went up and jaw open just a hair. And I said, who and what army?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I said, is there something I can sign that says you don't have an army? Here you go. I signed it off. We're shamed. We're cajoled.
Yeah.
We're deprived of our individuality to make our own decisions because we're stupid. Every one of us are so stupid. We can't. So
I agree.
I know we are stupid.
Do
you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. I agree. But it is shame, and you see that, the indoctrination, even at the educational level. The first day my daughter went to college, the very first day, this is 2021 or 2020, fall of 2020, and she's sitting in class, and the professor says, if you've had the COVID vaccine, please raise your hand. He didn't ask if you didn't, but now you just called out the 3 kids that didn't raise their hand and talking about HIPAA and everything else. First day of college, and she's just like, "Great, here we are."
They're automatically introducing several concepts: herd mentality.
Oh yeah.
Herd acceptance, othering, and will you or will you not say the emperor has or has no clothes?
Yeah.
The human, what was it, Stanford prison experiment or Milgram? One of the two is because of an unprincipled human psyche will side with the safety of the herd behavior 9 times out of 10, even if it means potentially killing someone because the people or either the group or the authority figure said it's okay.
Yeah.
And which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. But anywho,
I don't know how we got here.
I think we're talking about fluoride.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
But no, these are like I said, the views from the window. There's a lot more that we're looking at instead of just look, there's the rabbit. Well, hey, where's the hawk? Fox, whatever. These concepts all have a connection.
Could sterilization? I guess that was my question.
Yeah, that was it.
As a medical field, could sterilization of a generation occur through vaccinations?
Oh, well, 100%.
And we're seeing it. We've seen it. There's actual cases in other nations.
Well, even
Philippines. That's where it was. Sorry.
Yeah, because that was one of our territories for a long time. So it makes all the sense in the world.
Yep. Okay. Sorry about that. Male.
Yeah, fluoride exposure changed the structure and expression of reproductive-related genes in the hypothalamus pituitary testicular axis. So I've said over and over and over again, hormonal cascade, hormonal pipeline, hormonal whatever. But I like to start at the end and work backwards.
Yeah.
It was testosterone. Then we looked at the testes, the balls. Everything that's happening in the baseline, the regional factory.
Yeah.
And the product of regional factory. But now, hormones that signal for that don't start down there. They start up here and through here. Pituitary gland's up here, parathyroid's down here, thyroid thalamus down here, thymus, nope, it's all up here. So hypothalamus, I was mixing up the thymus for a second. Pituitary and hypothalamus are up here. They make everything from the luteinizing hormone, which is what goes down to the testes to say make sperm.
Yeah.
Well, it goes part and parcel in production also with testosterone. And that's why the whole let's inject testosterone. If this level goes so high, body says don't make anything that's in that. This luteinizing hormone is caught up in that cascade, so the body quits making luteinizing hormone. Everybody rants about, hey, we need a male birth control. It's called testosterone. But society / those kind of women also don't want highly testosteronic males running around because all of a sudden shit might get done. But way back when, we already said fluoride gets incorporated in the brain glands all over the place. We've already mentioned pituitary. I don't think we mentioned hypothalamus. We mentioned pineal. But they showed, we'll just read directly from the abstract, that 48 male mice, they administered them with 4 different levels of concentration of fluoride in drinking water from 0, so your control group, 25 milligrams per liter, 50 milligrams per liter, 100 milligrams per liter. The results showed the malformation ratio of sperm, so they're still looking at the actual physical properties of the sperm in its body.
Yeah.
Significantly increased at the transcriptional level. So the actual instructions of this gene is being encoded to then pass on to this gene, the instructions themselves. The expression levels of follicle stimulating hormone, which is the FSH or receptor. So the hormone's docking portion for follicle stimulating hormone receptor is being malformed, meaning you can have the hormone present, and it's going to bounce off.
Wow.
So we're now we've already said it's going to mess up things at the origin point, but now we're coming into the docking station and screwing it up. So even if you've got things being produced, so we're being hit at all portions of our reproductive, just on the male side.
Yep.
So that gets messed up. Just mentioned luteinizing hormone, which is LHR, but it's the receptor. The receptor is being malformed. Inhibin alpha, beta, and other sex binding hormone globulin, mRNA in the testes were all significantly decreased. So these base level functions in the testicles to receive the message from high command to say, hey, make this.
So
can't hear high command anymore.
So someone similar with a similar story that is engaged right now and is looking at IVF, and they've been tested or whatnot. Is there anything they can start doing to reverse?
So the benefit, or I guess the silver lining of this scenario, versus the skeletal impact versions. Yeah. If you cut out your exposure, it takes a while to start getting the gears ungummed and running again. Yeah. But yes. Okay. It can, or it does reverse. Yeah. Because the only place in our soft tissue that accumulates and holds is the pineal gland. Yeah. And it's thankfully just sleep, circadian, whatever. Yeah. The rest of this, given enough time, you re-up the necessary minerals we've mentioned before, magnesium, vitamin D, calcium, they will start functioning again. All right. And just on a side note of this, if you want some natural supplements to work, that I did myself. The urologist that I went to was blown away that I went from 0 sperm to 600 in about 2 months. It's supposed to take 6 months.
Yeah.
But these are herbal, God-made remedies. Tungat Ali, I never can remember the other one, but it's like Fedes Orestes, and then Testosterone. These are 3 different. It's different roots. One of them's called Long Jack, which I find a fun name. But supercharged my sperm production. And the urologist looked at me and said, "Wait, you were at 0 how long ago?"
Yeah.
I said, like, 2.5, 3 months. And he goes, "What were you doing?" And I wrote it down for him and said, "Here, tell this to some of your other people." And he goes, "Well, I guess I'll see you if you ever need us." But
that's awesome.
Silver lining, yes.
You'll have to give me the names, and I'll put those in the comments.
I'll write. I'll get them.
Yeah.
But silver lining of all of this aspect, very reversible.
Yeah.
On the male side.
Okay.
And within a relatively short time frame.
Okay. All right, bounce into the female.
Yeah, enter the female. This is the heavier aspect. So, I didn't include a whole lot of studies, and actually it's just 3 and 3. Because speaking towards this stuff doesn't require a lot of having to dig through the weeds because of how it's become so for front and center of my generation.
Yeah.
Speaking of the women listening to the podcast, who do you know that has endometriosis? Do you have endometriosis?
Yeah.
When I was younger, we were hearing about PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. We didn't really hear about endo very much. My wife was absolutely inundated with endo, and we started on a very long path to getting through that.
Yeah.
Side note, birth control stops the body's natural cycling to keep endometriosis from occurring. So when birth control really get hot and heavy, 90s, early 2000s, in terms of like, you're a high school girl, you're a 13-year-old. You just began your developmental process as a woman here.
And using it for things other than birth control.
Yeah, your period's heavy. You know what a heavy period is a signal of? Extreme fertility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just cut that off. But I guess we probably didn't know that at the higher ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, before we get down that again.
Yeah.
Sodium fluoride exposure causes a multimodal, just like at the male side, multimodal vector of attack, if you will. Reduction in female fertility. Hormonal disruption. Check. Follicular maturation disruption. So when you talk to, where do the eggs come from? Egg follicles. So the place where supposedly women are born with the same amount of eggs that they will ever make, or the instructions for a limited amount of eggs, the maximum amount of eggs they will ever make when they're still, a fetus. I feel like I need to go down a rabbit hole on that because this doesn't sound right. But the space where those eggs mature to then release, or, finding a good, wholesome, godly swimmer is interrupted. So going through the IVF process, you have egg retrieval. They pump you full of all these drugs to make these follicles then expand, burst, and release all these eggs. And repeatedly, these women go through heartbreak of, we harvested X amount of eggs. 5% of them were viable. Meaning 5% of them matured appropriately by the time they were 30-something. Seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
So follicular maturation disruption and the actual number of follicles, meaning the incubator for your eggs, is reduced through fluoride exposure.
Yeah.
And then the endometrial uterine damage is recorded within this rat study. Now let's step back to number of follicles reduced. So they say the number of eggs that the woman's going to have is going to be in the fetus.
Yeah.
As a fetus in the womb.
Yeah.
Can fluoride affect a fetus in the womb?
Yep.
Yep. So you some of these things, like follicle reduced, like you can't reduce follicles in adults through hormone exposure. What if it's exposed when it's not an adult?
Yeah.
So within this study, they showed. Before I start talking through my inference of the other information, let me make sure. But I'm pretty sure this was a generational study that showed this follicular reduction. 4 control groups. Show the FSH, luteinizing hormone, testosterone, progesterone, estradiol, and show the uterus and ovaries. So they were looking at this also at the histological level, meaning the rats were euthanized.
Yeah.
And then they removed the organs to look at them under a microscope to show these effects definitively. The rate of successful pregnancy in the sodium fluoride treated groups declined in a dose-dependent manner. Concentration of hormones lower. Endometrium damaged. Follicles, and in addition, number of follicles, all types, significantly lower in the treated groups. But did they do it over populations? This was a Chinese study, by the way.
About to say, yeah, I saw that. Which, real quick, for those at home, we covered it in one of the episodes, but all these studies are coming from the Middle East, China, India, Europe. Because we're not going to talk about that here in the U.S. And so those studies aren't. The ones
we do talk about in the U.S.
Yeah.
are immediately suppressed by the NIH by the orders of people on high.
Yeah.
Because the IQ study wasn't from abroad. It was a California study.
Yeah. 2020? Was that?
It was
2017.
finally cleared. Yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
And then the clearing for release was forced by a judge in 2022.
Okay.
But, so one study right there showed the full gambit attack on women.
Yeah.
Or the female reproductive system. We've talked about PFAS. The next thing in my studies was these industrial fluoride products. PFAS is the perfluorochemicals. Your forever chemicals you hear about. Teflon. Basically, it's Teflon. All your nonstick pans and such are PFAS. This study is called perfluorochemicals and endometriosis, the ENDO study. And this was published in the journal Epidemiology, which is the study of the spread of disease, 2012. And there's a lot of American names in here. So it's probably Europe. But this was kind of the first study to look at this, because PFAS wasn't really being shown to be a problem until relatively recently.
Yeah.
But in the background, no published research has focused on the possible role of PFCs despite their widespread presence in human tissues in association with endometriosis. And they came through, we're not going to go through all the study, but they showed, these PFCs that are being used in the industrial setting and being given to the public and at widespread are a direct, we're not correlating this. The correlations is what inspired them to do this study. They created a direct association of this compound exposed to these two women, damages the space where an embryo is supposed to deposit to then develop into a child. So there's a whole other thing. That's not even the fluoride in our water. That's the things that's like, hey, you don't want to clean the pan so much. Here's your non-stick PFAS pan.
That's right.
Yeah. Third study.
Which for years, centuries, it was cast iron.
Cast iron's great.
Yeah.
Look at everybody's iron deficient now. because we're told,
Because we quit using the cast iron skillet.
and we're not eating red meat because it causes heart disease.
Yeah.
But you're going to be told, hey, this vegetable has iron in it, so it's. But guess what? Our bodies really aren't good at deriving vegetable sourced iron, like the spinach.
Yeah.
Spinach. We can't access it because the type of the iron compound in spinach is a.
I was.
It's all wrapped up in a compound that makes it to where we can get some of it,
Yeah.
but not nearly as much as we're supposed to get.
Spinach is overrated.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's fine.
I ate so much of it whenever I was little watching Popeye.
Man.
Yeah.
Popeye.
Yeah. I want to be like Popeye. So it's overrated though. It didn't work.
No, I'm not a big vegetable guy in general anymore. Don't get me wrong. I like them. But if I'm given the option, my poor wife, she'll listen to this and she's just going to turn and look at me and shake her head. But ever since I did full carnivore 6 months ago.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And I've been ketovore for years now.
Yeah.
And bread's poison.
Bread's poison?
Bread's poison. Good rice is good.
No, wait, though. Okay, during COVID, did you or did you not make your own bread?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I haven't ate bread forever.
Did your wife?
Oh, okay. No.
I feel like that was a rite of
Post-COVID.
passage for everybody.
Oh, well.
To make your own bread at least
Dude,
once?
she was so busy being a resident in hospital, she didn't have time to
Oh,
jack.
okay.
What we did do was we joined that, you know what, we've got all this extra time, everything's closed, parks are open, let's start running.
Oh, did you?
We were part of that, let's get healthy, because nothing else to do, we're not going to sit on the couch all day. I mean, I had to, but then even then I got one of those virtual reality things and found a couple of games where you actually had to move, and I put a weight vest on and arm weights, and I had a six-pack for the first time in my life during COVID.
Wow.
We were running a 5K 3-4 times a week.
Were you really?
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
But she didn't have time to cook, but afterwards, and we got home and we got chickens and everything, she makes some really mean challah, egg bread, and focaccia.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, it didn't get to that point.
I tried.
We started gardening.
Yeah.
We started playing Animal Crossing on the game, the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And she literally had this moment where she's sitting there going through and tending to all the plants on our island, and she goes, if I'm going to spend this much time
doing it here,
fake plants, I'm going to do real plants.
That's right.
And then within like 6 months, we had 3 shelves with grow lights and 60 some odd plants. I'm like, which you can see in some of some of my old podcasts, sitting there with the greenery behind us. It was fun.
That's hilarious.
It was fun.
All right, what else do we have on the female? Because I want to.
Man, just driving it more home. Just completely. Well, actually, this one was one of the silver lining studies that I found. The effect of fluoride toxification and endometrial apoptosis and lipid paradoxation in rats. So apoptosis means pop. It's in the word pop.
Yeah.
The inflammation in the endometrial lining of the uterus from fluoride that then causes a proliferation of the endometrium to create this endometriosis. Osis basically means disease.
Yeah.
So we have the itis, osis, things like that.
Yeah.
When you're having the signals coming down and telling the cell to pop, and the peroxidation of the fats are creating, what does peroxide do? Peroxide kills stuff.
Yeah.
So the lipids in this space are being transformed by fluoride to turn into an inflammatory killing agent, a poison, within the space of the endometrium of the uterus. Well, this study, this is in the Journal of Toxicology, so an actual journal, 2007, and these look like Indian names or somewhere of that. So once again, not here.
Yeah.
But they looked at the roles of vitamins E and C. Ascorbic acid, and I can't remember vitamin E off the top of my head at all. But these were intravenous injections where they showed that when you can drastically increase the bodily serum concentration of these antioxidants or these anti-inflammatory detoxification compounds, you can actually start rolling back the damage, but then you're also not just rolling back, you are taking your a fire. Have you seen this the CO2 based fire control?
Yeah.
It's that. There's a fire going on and you go and you deprive the inflammation or the flames of what it needs to continue that oxidation and inflammatory process. Each one by themselves helped, but then they showed the treatment with a combination of both reduced it even better. So the silver lining of this study is, hey, these countries have seen and recognized and appreciated and accepted fluoride causes this problem. So these countries are already so far ahead of us in their acceptance of actual science and not propaganda or so on and so forth, that they were like, let's find a fix. Let's start actually finding something that can stop this. Let's help. Let's not treat a symptom. Let's treat a root cause.
Yeah.
So there are clinics here in the U.S. That do these kind of infusions that you can, but they're not even for this. They're for you feel like crap because you're an American and you behave like an American and your body doesn't have anything it needs because you trust American food industry. Here, come get everything your body's been craving.
Yep.
And then people feel great for about 3 weeks until their body runs out of it and they don't change their stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all right here.
Yeah.
So the female part has been so thoroughly sussed out through the scientific method that I found one study that looked at all of it all at once and showed it from stem to stern how drastically damaging it is. And then I found another study that showed other byproducts of fluoride also contribute to it. And it's been so... You cannot get to a point of, let's fix this until you thoroughly understand what's going on, that the female end of things has already reached a point of, hey, we found a way, we understand this enough that we can stop it. But not here with our robust, globally the best, the most capable health care system in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So they say. So that's fertility.
That's fertility.
That was 6 studies that took that long to go through.
Wow.
Because of how much we've had to build our foundation to be able to understand all of the ins and outs of things. And it's, people are listening. We've said from the beginning this is going to take a minute because when there's orders of magnitude of understanding. You know what you know. There are people who have, I know I don't know that, so I can then begin to learn it. And there's this whole swath of unknown unknowns. Well, I don't know what I don't know in these whole, I know jack all about higher order math. I know it exists, and that's about it. So if someone comes up and starts talking to me about, I don't know enough to even have examples, but it starts talking to me about higher order math, it's an alien language. And if we started here without creating our foundational principles of this entire scenario, you'd be speaking an alien language. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you say this can affect hormones? No, how? No, it doesn't. Our hormones make our own hormones. Our hormones, the body is a closed system that knows how to follow its own things and a calorie is a calorie, and your kidneys are your filters, and your liver is your filters. The things we were taught were intentionally minimalistic and obfuscate how things work. Yeah. So the baseline mainstream individual, without having the foundational knowledge to get you here, they are already primed to say, no, that's hogwash because I was taught this. Yep. So we start with the actual history and then the biochemistry and the physiology so people have a deeper understanding of how the body works to go, okay, you know how the body works really. in depth. And then here's how that gets in the way.
Well, I appreciate it. It was a good week. It was a good topic.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what we have coming up over the next couple weeks.
So we're coming up on the last 3 topics, which 2 of these we've already brushed over.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Cohort issues through fluoride and other elements in our food industrial complex. We talked about fluoride and aluminum already.
Yeah.
Don't really need to touch that anymore. We can, just for the sake of it. Cancer correlations. Not all of them, but a good bit of them do have a correlative relationship along with what fluoride does. Once again, hormone and transmitters that control for that. But this is the next little bit is the crux of why we're even having this conversation is the fluoride effect upon developmental development. Its toxicity to human development.
Yep.
So, yeah, we might actually be able to do this in 5 episodes. I kept saying it was going to be 7-ish, but hey, 5's a good solid number.
Yeah, maybe we do 5 and get some input from people or questions.
Yeah. Or a co-signer to the Arkansas bill.
Yes.
That was going to try and remove fluoride last year. Be a fun guest.
Yes. We need to have it. We need more. So yeah, I appreciate everybody listening in this week. I hope everyone has a wonderful week and you dive into this like I have with an open mind. I appreciate all the expertise that Dr. Bratton has brought. And even allowing me to run down some of these rabbit holes because, hey, we don't simply just say yes or believe everything that we're told to believe. And so I appreciate him and the level of expertise that he's brought. And so I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you again next week.
Get a reverse osmosis filter and drink a lot of whole milk that's not pasteurized.
And don't, yeah.